Who you gonna call? Well, I saw it last night. Ghostbusters fan service. I mean, Afterlife. It was a fun movie. I really enjoyed it for what it was. But for me, what was special was I got to see it in the same movie theater that I saw the original almost 37 years ago, and it was so that was cool. Ghostbusters, as many know, is one of my favorite movies. And I was really excited about this, especially after the atrocity that was that last installment that I won't even bring up. But this movie felt like a almost like a YA type film. Like, they had the very young cast and they brought in a whole slew of new characters. And the first half of the movie felt very different than the second half of the movie. The first half was all about introducing the new characters and developing the storyline in this new town, and kind of creating the chemistry of the characters. And the second half just became, hey, let's just give the fans everything they wanted to see and remind them why they love this franchise. And for me, it worked for that. But as being a great movie, especially compared to the original Ghostbusters, it was not a great movie. It's not a movie that I'm going to rush out to see again. It's not a movie that I'm like, oh, I got to buy it when it comes out or watch it again. It wasn't a great comedy. I mean, there was some comedic points in it. There was one character who was clearly supposed to be the comedy relief of the movie, but it wasn't a great comedy. There's no lines that people are going to be quoting. There's no it's not one of those legendary epic movies that's just going to live on like the original Ghostbusters. What it did was create a new cast of characters and some new interest, and there was the baton handing moment from the old cast to the new cast. I mean, people applauded in the movie every time something happened that was a nod to the old movie, when they showed the cars, when the spoiler alert, when the old cast showed up. There was a lot of that kind of passing of the torch to the next generation. This is clearly trying to set up, a new franchise or new universe of Ghostbusters with a great young cast. And they did. The young cast had great chemistry. They were fun, but it was just a very different kind of movie. The original Ghostbusters felt like a much more adult movie with adult humor and these, adult characters who were relatable to, people who were my age at the time that movie came out. This movie felt much more geared to younger audiences, teen audiences who are going to grow up now with probably what's going to be a franchise, and we'll see if it works out. This movie is clearly going to make a lot of money because, number one, it's going to make money from people my age who remember original Ghostbusters and want to go out and relive that, and it's going to make money from the younger audience who knows all these younger actors and wants to go see them. So did it do what it needed to do for the production company and for the movie franchise? Absolutely. For me, was it a great movie? Not really. It was enjoyable to watch. There were tons of just fan service moments. There was a big stack of books in one of the scenes that was clearly, every you could feel everybody saying, nobody stacks books like this. Like there were tons of those little moments, and it was all just to make us go, oh yeah, that's why we like the first movie. So really, you could just go watch the first movie again. But we're going to see more Ghostbuster movies, absolutely. But was it the great movie that everybody was hoping for? For me, not really. The jokes weren't there. The feel of what was the original Ghostbusters wasn't there. But I think we're going to see a lot more of this young cast riding around in an old Cadillac ambulance with the sirens blaring, chasing ghosts. I think that's inevitable. And I hope the movies get better. But I think I'm always going to look to the original as as setting the bar, and the bar was set very high. And I don't know that they're going to reach that bar again, but it was a fun time to watch, but not the great movie that everybody was hoping for. So for me, it was a 5.5 out of 10. Go see it, enjoy it, and then go watch the original, because that's what we really wanted anyway. So now let's hear from Kevin Gootee and see what he thought of Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Hi-ho, kids. Kevin Gootee here, gutting the sacred cow. And guess what? Hey, I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I know my life partner, Kevin Israel, did as well. What did I think? Listen, it's fine. Why? There are problems, obviously. The first problem, there are not any jokes in this film. This is not a funny film. The first one, a lot of jokes, as I made fun of before in our episode we did on Gutting the Sacred Cow. The special effects were just awful. This one, they're better, but I like the first one still because it's funny and you enjoy it and you enjoy the characters. These kids in this film, there's nothing about them to enjoy or appreciate. They don't suck, they're not annoying, but they're so vanilla, you don't care about them. Not one bit. Also, continuity issues. Explain this to me. So in the film, I may ruin this for some of you, but just scroll past 10 seconds. Egon has taken all the equipment and went off to this farm in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and the very end, surprise, the original Ghostbusters come back. Okay, you know this from all the leaked word on the streets. So don't go angry at me. But they show up with all the proton packs and such. Egon took them all. How do they have them? Problem with that. Next one, very heavy-handed when it comes to winks and nods from the original film. Very heavy-handed. A few subtle ones here and there, sure. Maybe a saying or two, a quote or from the other one, great. But way too sledgehammer to the nuts, as I like to say. And the first half was all right. The second half was just nah. They borrow a lot from the first. Get ready for that. This goes right down Nostalgia Boulevard and teeters in a dangerous zone, but it doesn't go over the cliff where they just rely solely on nostalgia. The plot itself is meh. They do tee it up for a sequel. And by the way, stick around for the two post-credit scenes. They're good. I enjoyed it. But overall, meh. You want for the sequel? Haha, guess what? There will be a sequel because they tee it up. Don't bring the kids in. Paul Rudd, he didn't bring anything to the table too. Not that good. Bring Egon's granddaughter in. Have them go back with the original Ghostbusters, and it's better. But this was just fine. It didn't suck, but I'm not going to go and certainly die in a hill for it. It's fine. 6 out of 10.